Broadcasting live from Villiger North American Studios, it's the show where cigars burn slow, ashes fall fast, and cocktails flow steady. It's the Stogie Geeks Show.
Brought to you by Bombay Cigars represent the most admired cigar culture of Cuba. They select the best quality tobacco to use in the aging process. Bombay cigars are then rolled in Costa Rica by some of the most experienced cigar rollers, giving it a unique smoking experience. The band portrays a detailed and artistic nature of our small industry. Try the Bombay Casera, the Bombay Mora, and the recently released Bombay Habano. Bombay Cigars, where the cigar is a way of life. Punch Cigars. For more information, check them out at www.punchcigars.com. Havana Cigar Club, located in Warwick, Rhode Island, is a great place to enjoy a drink and a cigar. Stogie Geeks listeners can find a $5 off coupon on our website by clicking the HCC logo. Duran Premium Cigars, one of the fastest growing boutique cigar companies, provides smokers a portal into the old Cuban tradition of the perfect balance and the lost art of progressive flavor construction. Roberto Pelayo Duran began his career in tobacco over 2 decades ago in Havana, where his reputation grew within Cuban circles. The creation of Duran Premium Cigars has given Roberto the platform to introduce a series of cigars that offer the quality and construction that he perfected while in Cuba. Brands include the ultra-premium Roberto P. Duran signature line, Azan, Nea, and Baracoa. Duran uses a seed-to-humidor approach, as all of their tobacco is grown in their farms and rolled in their factory in Esteli, Nicaragua. Rollers have been carefully chosen to carry out Roberto's precise method to ensure progressive flavor in each cigar. Duran Premium Cigars invites you to make their premium your standard.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Stogie Geeks Show. This is our fabulous interview portion. We've added some people to the crew. Joe Hollywood's still here. Rainman's still here. We're getting ready to go to an event after this. We're just going to continue smoking all day and all night. So hope you guys are in proper smoking shape. Of course you are. Todd Lascola from next door has joined us. Todd, welcome.
Thank you, Paul.
It's always good. I haven't had you on the show in a while.
It's been a little while.
Yeah.
It's probably been 6-7 months.
You were like, I can sit. I'm like, no, you haven't been on a while. You should definitely sit in. So why don't you introduce our guest, because you have a great relationship with Miami Cigars and La Aurora, and have been afforded the opportunity to now have your second cigar as a shop exclusive from La Aurora. So I want to turn it over to you and have you introduce folks and give us a little of the backstory.
Sure. Jason Woods here, who runs Miami Cigar and is a good personal friend, though I didn't get to see you this year, Jace. We didn't make it down for the Florida State game. And then Willie, who's the rep, is sitting right to my right.
How you doing, everybody?
Yeah. Welcome back, Jason. Willie, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And
always a good time to be on here.
That's right. Yeah, Jason's been here in studio before, correct?
Yes, he has.
And now he's on the lines via Skype. So
you've been on Skype with Nestor one time with us too. So, and Jason was nice enough to put together. We've had a house stick, which was the Centaños 2003 #1 Preferido, which was our original house stick, which we still have a little bit left of, but we were running out of those, and Jason was nice enough to work out something for us with Manuel. So we have 2003 Coronas now as our house stick.
Now, what's interesting is that the Preferido #1 and the Cianaños, I'm like, I've smoked that before. Like that, I don't know where I got it. I don't know, but I'm like, I think I've smoked that size before, right? Because they were available in some capacity.
Some capacity. Manuel used to have them with him. That's how we found the cigar. Manuel brought it up to us once as a gift.
But now, when you said Corona in the Cianaños, I'm like, I've never smoked that before. I'm like, I've never even seen one before. So this is a special opportunity.
It is. And it's a phenomenal stick. I've gotten to smoke it over the years as a gift from Manuel or from Jason, and when they came available to become a house cigar for us, can't go wrong.
No, you got to take them up on that opportunity.
Absolutely.
We were just talking about that, how a lot of people have regular production lines, and then they have the one where, like, if you buy a box at an event, you get one, or if you have the opportunity to meet a blender or Jason or Willie at an event, they're like, oh, here's this special one. I think that goes a long way for our audience, because typically like those cigars are like, oh yeah, like, this is like my personal one that I hand out, or this is a very special one. Those are like the best ones usually in the line, to be honest with you. And you're like, wow, this is great. And they're like, well, we couldn't release it because we don't have enough tobacco or whatever. So
Absolutely. And this is smoking as well now as it did 2 years ago and last year, and it's perfect.
Right. Now, because Willie and Jason, the tobacco in the San Años is pretty special, right? This was the 100-year anniversary of La Aurora. So can you guys talk a little bit about the tobacco and the blend?
Absolutely. So just to give a little background on the cigar and its come abouts and why it came into the market. So the factory started in 1903. So in 2003, Manuel and the whole crew at La Aurora decided to come out with something special. Took a look at the inventory and what they had, and Guillermo had a couple different lots of cigars or tobacco to make a special blend. So he actually opened it up for Manuel and the whole team at that time. So they started working on it. They say it went from anywhere between 65 to 70 different blends before they came up with this actual blend. And to date is our highest rated blend ever. So it actually in 2006 was the #2 cigar of the year behind a Cuban cigar. So it's been our highest rated blend of the factory since its beginning. So what happened a couple years back, we re-released the Cien Años in 3 sizes, but we didn't release the Corona size. So these continue to stay in the vault. And we continue to ask Guillermo, what are we going to do with these? These are my particular favorite in the blend as well, in the Corona size. What are we going to do? So he kept holding on to them. That was his prize jewel there in the aging room. Until finally he said, you know what? I'm okay to release. Let's go ahead and let's release a lot out. So one lot was sent out, and we talked to Todd, and I told Todd, man, I would love to have these in the shop. And he smoked them. He's like, this is an amazing cigar. I can't tell you no. I need to have these in the cigar shop as well. So we were able to make it happen. Manuel helped us out on the factory level. Todd helped us out in the store level, and then we did what we could do here at Miami Cigar to make it happen. And now officially the cigars are ready and for sale at Havana Cigar. So it's been a process, but we were able to get them there, and I'm very happy.
Were these rolled in 2003, or were these rolled for the re-release? These were rolled in 2003.
These were not part of the re-release.
Okay.
In the re-release, it was only we had a Bellicoso, Robusto, and Churchill size. So the Corona size was not a part of that second release. So these are true to form 2003 Vault Coronas. It's the only time we ever had the cigar.
So
it shows you
you can't pass
really
that
good.
on.
No, that's
Jason, you're right. We need those.
Yeah.
Now, the re-release, Jason, was that from tobacco that had been aging or was being grown like after the original 2003 release?
Right. So the tobacco that was used in the release a couple years back was not from the same crop as the original 2003. So it was actually not much of a blender. So that part of the business, I'm not an expert or even almost on that. But what they did is they took from the same seed and the same farm, and they went ahead all from the same year, so 5 years later, and they tried to mimic that blend as close as possible as they can. As we know, this is a natural product, so things change, weather affects it, sunlight, water, a million different things can affect the actual tobacco, but they tried the best that they could to get to that blend, and it was still a phenomenal cigar. It was released 4 years back.
I thought it was really close. I don't know. I haven't smoked like side by side from the 2003 release to the re-release, but I've smoked both, and there's no discernible difference if I'm not really paying attention. And I'm sure if I really paid attention
and had them side by side,
knowing it had them side by side and knowing which is which, maybe. But there's also the age factor in there too, because the re-release has only been rolled for so long. The 2003 has been, which we're smoking now, has been rolled since 2003. So even just those differences, I think, are going to change the flavors. But knowing Manuel, that blend is really. I mean that's what the job of one of the jobs of a master blender like Manuel to do is to make sure that when there are new crops that you can produce a cigar with no discernible differences. And I'd say most people get it right. La Aurora certainly.
Manuel's the best.
Yeah, like when you smoke La Aurora Preferido, like I've never noticed it. I've never been like, Manuel, like that's a little different. No, it's the same. So, and I think most blenders get it right, which is a very difficult thing too. As Jason was saying, there's a million different characteristics and changes and external forces at work that it could interrupt you creating that same blend. So
even when you think about it, I mean, to do that with a cigar is as difficult as it to do with wine, and it never gets done with wine. So it's
always
really
by
a
ear.
skill set. Yeah,
Right.
it's really a skill set to be able to do that.
absolutely. Well, that's awesome. So are there more plans for Cien Años? Is there going to be another re-release or?
So the only thing to be honest that has been in talks that the factory goes back and forth on, but they're still not 100% sure as to what to do is 2 years back we did release Maduro Cien Años just in the Robusto size. So we only released the Robusto size because Manuel and the whole team were only happy with the blend in that size. They're still working out the larger ring gauges. So it is something that's on his plate that he's constantly working on. So I can't say that it'll never happen. It's not happening this year, but it could be something in the future that you can see once that gets defined and they're happy with it in the other Vitolos as well. That could be something that you could see in the future. But for now, that's just what we have left in inventory is very minimal of the Cien Años.
And that Cien Años Maduro Robusto was phenomenal.
Yes,
I believe, Rayman, correct me if I'm wrong, that was the #1 cigar here on Stogie Geeks the year that was released by maybe more than one member of the Stogie Geeks at the time. So that's how special that cigar is. And actually, I went back and smoked it late last year, I think, and it was still unbelievable. Oasis rated cigar.
Nice.
So,
Very nice. We appreciate that. Thank you.
yes, keep making awesome cigars. So now, how many of these cigars are you bringing into Havana Cigar
We have
Club?
they come in boxes of 30.
Okay.
And we have 100 boxes. They came in on Friday, so they're
Still, yeah.
they're brand new in here, but we'll have those 100 boxes. Obviously, anywhere from Stogie Geeks can call into the shop, and we'll be more than happy to package them up and ship them out.
And what's the retail now?
Retail is $9 a stick, so the box would be $270.
Okay.
Normally, obviously, there's a 10% discount, but Stogie
Not with
Geeks. Well, with Stogie Geeks, there will be.
Oh, there will
But
be.
Stogie Geeks will do, for the next week or so, we'll do 25% off the box.
Wow.
For Stogie Geeks people.
Awesome.
So if you say you heard it here on the show,
Yeah, not going to last.
Yeah, they
no,
won't
they're
last.
not going to last.
They won't last. Well, outside of the 5 boxes I already stashed.
Yeah.
And bought out myself.
So there's 95 boxes left.
Exactly.
And also I'd like to throw in there too. Also, there's probably going to be one box that's missing a cigar because I have it right here. So there is one box that's going to be short one cigar.
Well, it happened with Willie today, too. I'm like, I got to hand Willie one of my cigars now.
Right.
Because they just don't exist.
Suckers.
Oh, that's great.
But it's definitely a rare treat for everybody listening out there. It's truly a special cigar. Like I said, from 2003, the best tobacco that we have, the best cigar blend we've ever come out with, and it's the last of the last. It's the Corona size. It's what they smoke in the factory. It wasn't released, like I said, 4 years ago when we re-released the brand. It's the last production of what we have in that blend. So it was tough to get the factory to allow us to sell it, and now it's available. So you guys should definitely jump on it. It's a badass cigar.
It is.
So what's Guillermo been smoking now that these are on the market? He like stole his private stash of.
He smokes his signature cigar, the Guillermo Leon Corona Gorda.
Yeah,
Always.
that cigar's awesome. We just reviewed
Yeah.
that cigar in a previous segment, and I had one aged in my humidor, and phenomenal.
There's
Yeah,
not
that's-
much that doesn't
In that
work
size,
out of La Aurora, especially in the Corona sizes.
Yeah.
When you can find them.
And you have a full stash of them?
Of course we do.
What's the phone number again?
401 287 4250.
There you go. So what else is new coming out of La Aurora and, in a general sense, also Miami Cigar? I know Willie.
Willie, you want to talk a little bit, Willie?
Yeah, Willie just.
Willie's just depending on you, Jason.
No, I don't want to steal his cloud. I handed you gentlemen's the 2006 107 Cosecha and the new Nestor Miranda Corojo. That is some of our newer items that we have out by both sides, and I'll let Jason get into them a little bit.
You start with the Cosecha. That was really good. Manuel handed me one when
Great
he was
cigar.
here last. Yeah.
Yeah, so that one is based off Cuban trends and Cuban limited editions, limited release type of stuff. They normally base their limited products, but I had no idea, Not off the blend at all. So it's a 107 Cosecha is the name of the limited release that we did. It's important that everybody knows that it has nothing to do with the current blend in the 107. So the way it works over there in the factories in Cuba is when they have a certain amount of tobacco or a smaller run of tobacco, something special that they want to run off as a limited project, they go ahead and they make this blend and they'll just put it under one of their parent companies or one of their parent brands. So that's what we've done with the 107. There was a certain amount of tobacco in 2006 that Manuel and Guillermo and the whole team had, and they decided to come up with a blend. Blended the cigar, it was fabulous. And then they said, you know what, we need to release this somehow. How are we going to release it? And then another gentleman in the factory had mentioned something to them about Cuban releases and how they do these limitadas and stuff like that. So they brought it to our attention. They asked us what we thought about it, and we all thought it was a pretty cool project. So we went ahead and we accepted it in 3 different sizes. And they come in 10-count boxes. 1,500 boxes in total is a limited run, and we're about at capacity right now on those. But that cigar started off with Ecuadorian Habano wrapper and filler and binder, Dominican, Nicaraguan, and Peruvian. It is a very nice medium plus smoke, I would say, and it's different. It's not going to be what you expect like from a 107. It's got a little bit more flavor to it and a little bit more spice, in my opinion. So it's definitely a very, very nice cigar. Again, when you're working with such limited tobacco, the best of what there is. The good side is you know it's going to be the cream of the crop, but the bad side is that it's just limited. It's only X amount, so 15,000 cigars of each size. And then once we were done, there's nothing else that can be done about it. It's over.
Yeah, I mean, you see 107 on the band, and you light it up, and you're like, wow, that packs a wallop compared to the regular 107. It's got some bold flavors in the spice components, like you mentioned, Jason. So
Yeah.
I think it's a nice departure. I think it's a fantastic smoke. I think it's going to get better with age, too. It's definitely got some aging potential in there.
Definitely. Those, if you have the, let's say, what's the word that I want to use? If you have the, if you can hold back and not smoke them and actually keep them in the humidor, it's definitely with age they're gonna grow, and all the tobaccos are gonna marry even more. The flavors are gonna marry, the strength, the spice, everything is gonna come in together. If you can, obviously. I mean, it's difficult to see something like that in the humidor and not smoke it, but if you can rest it to the side and give it a little bit of time, it'll definitely be worth it in the long run.
And the other one is from Nestor's a Corojo?
Yes, sir. It's a Nicaraguan Corojo wrapper with a Nicaraguan binder and Nicaraguan filler, so you have 100% Nicaraguan puro, all blended by Don Pepin and My Father Factory, and it's the 4th offering on the Nestor Miranda collection offering.
Nice. Oh, so this is a full, all the different sizes. This is a brand new
Yeah, there's a line extension.
Because he didn't make a Corojo before.
No. It was Habano, Connecticut, and Maduro, and now we have Corojo. Gotcha. It's available on all 4 Vitolas across the Nestor Miranda collection line.
I think we talked about this last year.
I think he did say, I think you're right.
When
episode 186.
When Nestor was on. When Nestor was on. There you go.
There we go, Rain Man.
Somebody was doing their homework before the show.
We call him Rain Man for a reason. Yes. Now he has to live up to that, though. So
he's in trouble now.
He constantly memorizing the backlog of Stogie Geeks episodes. Oh, that's hilarious.
Everywhere we've placed it has done very well. It's become one of my personal favorites. And Jason can go ahead and tell you a little bit more with Nestor and the way everything came together for this cigar.
Yeah, on the little background on the cigar is so that Nicaraguan Corojo wrapper that is actually Nestor's favorite wrapper. So either from the Nicaragua or from Dominican Republic, Corojo wrapper has always been his favorite. He loves the way it looks. He loves what it adds to the cigar. So when we came out with the new launch of the Nestor Miranda collection, Corojo wasn't one of the offerings. And immediately he knew that he had that in the vault backed up. So once we were ready to release a 4th wrapper, to go ahead and release that wrapper. The reason why it wasn't part of the first 3 was because he wanted it to be something special. He didn't want it to be something released. With the other 3 wrappers, he wanted it to have its own space and its own time on the stage on its own as the new release. So we went ahead and released that one, and it's everything that he was looking for. Just from appearance alone, it's a beautiful looking cigar, nice oily wrapper. And then the flavor components on it is it's a nice medium plus cigar. It's definitely fits perfect into the portfolio.
Nice. Sorry, Tom, were you going to
No, I was just thinking that Nestor was supposed to send me some of those last year. I had to wait till this year to get them.
Well, you have them now, correct? That's good. That's good. Yeah, we have not smoked these yet. Willie just gave us samples, so we'll review them on the show for sure. Joe and Joe and Joe.
They came from my personal box at home. Just in case anybody-
Thank you very much, Willie.
Much
Thank you. Do you have questions?
I just want to add the, aside from being a phenomenal product, but the people behind the brand as well. Willie, Manuel, had the opportunity to meet these guys on multiple occasions, and great people and great advocates for the brand. So something you can absolutely get behind and enjoy it.
And Jason, not that you need any more pats on the back, but since Jason's come in too, they've done just such a great job of support, even from a retail standpoint.
Nice.
It's phenomenal dealing with Miami in every capacity now.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's Nestor's lines or the La Aurora, just phenomenal service.
So, Willie and Jason, Miami Cigar, specifically, are you only distributing inside the U.S.?
Yeah, for right now, I believe so. Unless
So-
that's changed the last week.
I might.
For La Aurora, we started, so this is the 24th year that we distribute for La Aurora in the United States. We're their exclusive distributor within the United States. So outside of the United States, we sell our brands that we own. But as far as La Aurora goes, we only have the representation for them within the United States. So the Nestor Miranda line or the Tatiana line, we sell those outside of the U.S. Obviously, it's our brand. But for La Aurora, we just do it within the United States.
I gotcha. How do you see FDA impacting Miami Cigar and in the industry in general? I'll kind of throw the open question out there first.
Right. So obviously, first of all, I think like anyone in the industry, we want, if there's a way to see it, that everything is abolished and taken out and nothing goes into effect. That would be great. If we don't have to talk about this predicate date and all of these new terms and slogans that we hear so often now, that would be the ideal situation for everyone in the cigar industry, from the consumers all the way up to the manufacturers. But we do have these regulations that are looming over us. So as a manufacturer, as a distributor, we need to be prepared. So what we did is we went back into the vault and we took a look first at our entire portfolio of brands before 2007. And thankfully, first for Miami Cigar and for myself, my in-laws started this company in 1989. So looking it over, we have about 19 brands in total that we have that were before 2007. And it adds up to a total of almost like 120, 130 SKUs that we have before that date, not even including everything that La Aurora has.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
It looks like when it freezes like that Jason loses. Oh,
Available to them.
sorry, Jason, you got cut off there.
After the SKUs.
After 137.
Okay, are we back?
Yep.
Yeah.
Go back to the SKUs,
Okay,
sir.
so right, so we were talking about the Miami Cigar portfolio, and then also on the La Aurora side, starting in 1903 and making cigars in 1906, they have dozens of brands, hundreds of SKUs, also readily available that were before 2007. So we are blessed in that sense that if the regulations are dropped, we do have a vast array of products and brands that we could go to. Ultimately, we don't want to have to go to that route. But if the FDA does impose these regulations and they do go into effect, almost our entire portfolio currently right now is before 2007. So we are lucky in that sense, and prepared for the worst, hoping for the best, but always prepared for the worst to make sure that we're ready to go as a company. This year at our sales meeting, so that Willie and the whole team was a part of, we went through two totally different plans of thought, depending on if the regulations were placed or if they weren't. So letting them know, look, this is the route that we're going to take if regulations go full bore 100% to what we read in the document. If they're abolished and this is not going to happen, this is the route we're going, and this is the way that we're going to take it. So just to make sure that they understand and they have peace of mind, they can relay that to their customers that we're here to stay. I mean, we've been around for a long time. We've been established for a while, and we have dozens of brands that are ready, that are still marketed in the United States right now, but can take a more prominent role if we needed to have them more prominently placed.
So what was the major difference in those two plans? Did it mostly impact newer brands coming to market?
Things, for example, like off the Miami Cigar portfolio. So some of you may be familiar and some of you not with the Don Lino brand. So Don Lino was the first privately owned brand that my in-laws released. Like example, one of these boxes up this side. This box right here, the 107, the Don Lino Africa, that was one of the larger releases that the company did earlier. So under Don Lino, there's probably about 10 or 11 different brands that they released through the years that are still available to the consumers, but more on a secondary level. not necessarily like one of these full-on big release type things, but they are marketed right now, so we could continue to sell those. So bringing back the old school. One of the reps called it bringing sexy back.
Yeah. Well, and the Don Lino Africa had some of the best packaging ever for a cigar, but the boxes are just gorgeous.
Yeah, they did. The company did a very good job with the packaging on those products. So it will be bringing back more of the Don Linos, bringing back Nestor in the old wooden boxes with the burlap along the side. These type of brands that have evolved through the years, but those would be ones that we would put more of a spotlight, more of a focus back on if everything went by the lay of the law and the FDA dropped the hammer, for lack of a better word. And then the other option would be if regulations can get dropped and nothing moves forward, then we can continue as business was a couple years back, releasing new products, coming out with more limited edition type runs, creating hype, as much hype as possible. So it'd be two totally different plans. But we're ready, we're prepared, we have everything in line, but we need a decision. We need to see exactly what's going on. So just staying on top of all the deadlines and making sure that we're current and ready to roll no matter what happens. But just waiting for that final decision. There's a lot of people now with the new president and his new team in place that feel very, very optimistic about it. But at the end of the day, you don't really know. I mean, you can feel optimistic, but we don't have control of that. So until we get word of exactly what's going on, we still need to be prepared for the worst.
Todd, from a retailer perspective.
Yeah, and actually, there's two things here. And one, especially for your listeners and those of us who've been smoking cigars for years, somebody in a position of La Aurora and Miami with their cigars, they've been tremendously supportive of trying to overturn this legislation, even though beneficially they could be okay.
Yeah, either way.
Either way, they can be okay because they have so many lines and so many cigars that were pre-FDA. So instead of just sitting back and letting everybody else do it, they've been very aggressive and very supportive of the industry as a whole. Instead of sitting back and just looking at what benefits themselves, they really have gone out of their way to support the whole industry instead of just looking at what supports their companies.
Right.
And that's important. And from our standpoint, limited releases are probably the part of the industry that's going to get decimated by this because there's no opportunity to do limited releases. To spend that type of money for a cigar that's going to have 1,500 cigars out or 10,000 cigars out, and that's all you're going to be able to do, it just becomes cost prohibitive.
Right.
You'd have a limited release at $40 a stick. So that's the part of the FDA side that would really hurt from a retailer standpoint and from a consumer standpoint. I mean, not just the lines you love, but the opportunity for these limited releases and things of that nature. It would just absolutely decimate it.
And how do you feel like that impacts you with
I think
just that component and also the FDA in general?
Yeah, FDA in general. FDA walked in here. Didn't know how quick it was going to be. They passed a regulation. Within 2 weeks, they walked in. Now, granted, we're a cigar lounge. We're a higher-end lounge. So we don't have 17-year-olds. First off, 17-year-olds.
That was an age limit verification check.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Because 17-year-old kids aren't coming out to buy premium cigars, which is, of course, the whole point of why the legislation shouldn't apply to premiums.
Right.
But but they're adamant about it, and they're walking into everybody to make sure that things are being done that way. And from the standpoint of
what were they checking to see if there were underage people in there?
Underage people, all the signage, checking to see. They may have even sent people in because you don't know.
Yeah.
They could have sent somebody in underage age to buy. Now you see somebody
that's a more valid check. But
that's a more valid check.
Yeah.
But they just come in and they want to check out. They have a tendency to be a little more realistic. The person coming in when they walk into a lounge.
Yeah.
And look at it and say, okay, chances are there's not a 17-year-old kid walking in here to buy a cigar.
Right. Because all the products you have in house are pretty much 18 plus and liquor's 21 plus. So
it's 18 plus.
It's not like a convenience store where you can buy soda or you can buy a cigar.
Yeah, you're not walking in that situation.
Right.
So, but obviously less regulation is better.
In this case, for sure.
Yes.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah, without a question. It's absurd. Nobody smokes cigars at, no 17-year-old kid goes, oh, let's go start trying to smoke cigars.
Yeah.
If they do, it's Black and Miles. And
Middletons.
Yes, and stuff you can buy at the convenience store by the pack, backwoods, and whatever else.
$4 for a whole pack, right?
Exactly.
Let alone $10 per stick. Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
One thing I think is very important is everybody has to stay proactive, from what I've seen online, and get behind your congressmen, your state representatives, and your senators. I think we've seen a trend in this new bill that's being passed around. You're getting a lot more support. The congressmen are getting educated. State senators are getting educated. Obviously, Marco Rubio back home touring Tampa helps. And I think people just need to stay more proactive and keep pushing your local representations to save, premiums.
Yeah, don't depend on other people to do
President
it.
can only
Yeah.
The president can only put it away for 4 years, 8 years at best, the second term. Next guy out can open Pandora's box again. What
Right.
we really need is an act from Congress to be done with everything.
Yeah, that
No, that's an excellent point.
proactive nature for sure.
Well, good. What else in the news for La Aurora, Miami Cigar, Havana Cigar Club? Anything else you guys wanted to share in terms of what's happening? We covered a lot of ground already.
Yes, we have covered a lot of ground.
New lines.
Obviously, Havana has a second location opening in northern Rhode Island this year, finally. We finally got everything done. And
That's been a long process for you.
It's been a long process, and actually the town was
And
easy.
it has nothing to do with tobacco that delayed it, correct?
No, not tobacco, and not even
liquor, right?
Not liquor, not tobacco, and not even the local reps. It was, in our case, it was National Grid.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
Right. Well, now it's
Well,
maybe
yeah.
starting to
That
be a
was
little
sarcasm.
funny. Yeah.
That was pure sarcasm.
Maybe
but
10
yes.
years from now you look back and laugh.
But it's so we get the second location opening up. Obviously, we've got a nice bar set up over there. We've got nice lounge seating areas for people who don't want to be around the bar. So I mean, we've done things to keep constantly upgrading the club as we've gone. So now just over 4 years old, and Cumberland will reflect some of those changes we've made, obviously, as we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So, so from the club standpoint, that's what's new going on. And obviously, everybody at this table spends a decent amount of time at the club, considering it's 12 paces away.
Right.
So, but no, I appreciate.
Will the memberships transfer?
Memberships will be reciprocal.
Okay.
They'll have a locker if they're a locker member in one location, but they'll be able to use both clubs, get the same benefits in both places, so everything
Gotcha.
will be the same.
That's awesome.
For La Aurora, at the end of the month, we'll be releasing the third wrapper in the 87 and 62 line, so we'll have Cameroon.
Mm-hmm.
Jason can correct me. Hopefully shipping on that will start end of the month, Jay?
Correct. Yeah.
So
21st.
last year we released the 87 Connecticut and the 62 Corojo. And to continue those steps, we'll be releasing a Cameroon wrapper in that. Also last year at the show, we released the 1903 lines, which is Preferido in a Corona Robusto Toro. We started with the Sapphire, Ecuador, and Diamond.
Mm-hmm.
And by the show this year, we will complete all 6 wrappers on that, releasing the Ruby, Platinum, and Gold. So
All on the Corona side.
All's in the
Which
Corona
were somewhat
Robusto Toro.
exclusive before, right?
Which, by the way, we have at the club.
Yeah.
All of them right now.
Yeah.
Because
We've
when
smoked
they were
and
doing
reviewed
it-
all of them, yeah.
We were fortunate enough to get those and have them in stock for the last couple of years when they were limited, sort of exclusive to a few shops type of deal. And they're slowly releasing out to everybody now. But that's a great way to get into the Preferido line in the Corona.
Yeah.
If you can't get your hands on a 2003 Centenaños Corona, try the Preferido Corona.
You got a couple other hidden gems in there too. So you got the Puro Vintage 2003, which you really can't find really anywhere else. You've also got the Preferido Cameroon, the Lancero,
The
which you
Lancero.
really can't find.
It doesn't even
anywhere else.
exist anymore, except
I mean, maybe
when I call him Beg Manuel for some more.
Yeah, but in terms of there may be another retailer somewhere in the U.S. that has them on the shelf. But in terms of getting a fresh stock, I mean, I think
Yeah,
you're one of the few to get the fresh stock on both of those. So I tend to turn people to them you got to go buy those before they're gone because they're going to be gone at some point.
Going to be gone at some point, absolutely.
And they're both fantastic. Some of my favorite cigars.
That Cameroon Lancero is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I had that Sunday. It's awesome.
I love that.
And the
cigar.
Puro Vintage is amazing.
Puro Vintage is unbelievable. I mean, it's a longer cigar. You're
you'd be there for a while. Yep.
But it's phenomenal. I mean, there's almost nothing out of that line that isn't very good. But you get into the higher end and the specialty stuff. It's second to none.
Absolutely. And this latest one, this is the Corona size. Is that what you're calling the Corona size or Petite Corona? I was going to say it's more like a Corona than Petite Corona. What are you guys' impressions? I'll give you my impression while you guys are kind of mulling over. But this is just a flavor bomb. I mean, we smoked a couple of cigars before this that were both very good. Some of them had a lot of age on them too. this is just a flavor bomb. The thing just pours flavor the entire time.
What do you think, Joe and Joe?
I'll
Well,
put you on the spot.
no, you can put me on the spot. Since there's only 95 boxes left, I would fight Chuck Norris for this cigar.
Wow.
I'm sitting here and I am like, this is so
You've
good.
been quiet. You've been like mesmerized by it.
After I am completely.
That's a sign of a good cigar.
I am completely going to have word economy for this segment because I am enjoying this cigar. Speaks
Now,
for itself.
if Joe Hollywood's
It's
quiet,
so-
you know.
It's so good that I am going after this segment to go get some. And in fact, I'll probably have one on the way to the event again. That this is an amazing. Now, keep in mind, I don't give a lot of high ratings. In fact, it's my first high rating I've given on the show.
Might be your first Chuck Norris.
This is.
And we got that on video too, just
Yes,
in case.
the 95. The fact that there's 95 boxes left, like you really have to act now if you want to get in on this action. Let me tell you something. Flavor bomb.
I agree with your rating though. This is Chuck Norris. This is Chuck Norris.
This is I'm speechless. Like I am thoroughly enjoying this moment. So if I drift away, just tap me. You know what I mean? Like, this is just an awesome cigar.
Rain Man.
I'm
Thank
very
you for that.
impressed.
Joe beat me to the punch. I'm right there with fighting Chuck Norris. I'm going to find him out in the parking lot. We'll have at it, and definitely going to grab a box or two. It's very enjoyable.
It's 93 left.
You a box put aside for me, right? We didn't have to talk
92.
about it.
We don't have to talk about it. You're gonna be. I know you'll be there tomorrow morning, making
That's right.
sure that you have it. Yes.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's just a flavor bomb. This is just amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely
That's
amazing.
that's my
A
sense.
lot of
flavor
flavor, but
bomb.
very, very, very smooth.
Yes.
For having that
Well,
much
because
flavor.
it's a lot of age on it.
A lot
so,
of age on it.
yeah.
Also, it's just, it's put it this way. This is my second one in a row, and it's gone.
Yeah.
And
I think this has even more flavor than the Lancero because there was a Lancero in the Cien Años as well,
yes,
Yes.
and this like even amps up the flavor from that. And I thought those were that was my favorite size for a long time in Cien Años. I think this has displaced that in terms of my bell of the ball rating.
This has overtaken the 107, which is absolutely one of my favorites, and the Koseka, which I've had quite a bit. Bought a box a couple weeks ago, and this is definitely at the forefront right now. Number one.
Nice.
Now you make sure I go get a box too. So now there's only 92 left.
Dwindling your supply. We'll make sure we get them before this airs and they all sell out. Which is hopefully what happens. Well, Jason and Willie, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Todd, as always, thank you
Paul.
for sitting in.
Joe and Joe.
And Joe, we're going to wrap up this segment. We're going to an event, and then next week we'll report on our event. Unfortunately, it's not a La Aurora event, but when there is a next one, we'll be sure to attend as well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You usually do.
Thanks, everyone, for listening and watching to the Stogie Geeks Show. See everyone next week.